Pop Culture Pastor.
Hey, Dave, I got a question for you.
Oh, right. Fire away.
What generation did Forrest Gump belong to?
This feels like a trap.
Gen A. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I did not know we were going to go with the dad joke.
That's how we start off every episode of Pop Culture Pastor, the podcast.
That's an interesting question because, I mean, that's a real, like, it's the setup. The setup's real because
Yes.
that's what makes it good is because my brain was already starting to roll like, oh, that's tough. Because the movie comes out at a certain time, but then it depicts a past time.
I was going to say his young adult years is in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, he's a boomer.
Very much so.
Yeah, but then, Gen X has, like, there's a lot of events that you recognize as a Gen Xer. And then, of course, the movie comes out, it'd be right, like, in the millennial wheelhouse. But,
it was in my wheelhouse. And then Gen A.
Gen I. Forrest Gump is one of the most quotable movies ever. And
Easily.
It's one of those ones too, like most of the movies that my friends and I quoted growing up were comedies, but that one doesn't really fit. But there was a lot of, you ever been on a shrimping boat? No, but I've been on a really big boat. We were constantly rattling off lines.
There were moments that they knew would be comedic, but it's not necessarily a comedic movie.
Right, exactly. Lieutenant Dan, ice cream. Well, as it would happen, we start off talking about Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis, and we're going to talk about a lot about Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis today.
We will.
Because this is a Be Kind Rewind kind of a night, and we watched Castaway, so we're going to get to that later. This is Pop Culture Pastor, the podcast, of course. Cody, I'm very excited. We're getting a new podcast cover.
It's happening.
With Cartoon Us.
Sweet.
I had someone draw up a couple of things, little toon versions of it. They look nothing like us. I mean, they look sort of like us, but they're toons.
They're going to be caricatures. I'm going to have really big glasses.
Yeah. No, you look great. I had to request they make me not look so chunky. Hey, he's like, man, hey, I'm broad-shouldered. Could you...
Husky.
Yes, exactly. Could you bring me down to husky level? They the artist apologized. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, no big deal. Anyways, my name's Dave. Cody's here.
I am.
And that's it. That's all you get tonight.
Yep.
Or this episode.
A great dad joke, and we're done.
I mean, really, we could just be like, well, that's it. That's good enough. That's the name of the episode. Dad joke. One dad joke. Stay for it all and then leave.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, you were saying... I got you. Okay. We got some news to get to. And Cody, there was actually some pretty big news. I mean, maybe Kathleen Kennedy. There was all sorts of reports that Kathleen Kennedy was going to be stepping down from her role at Lucasfilm sometime this year. Puck News, Matthew Baloney, reported that on Monday of this week. I don't know, depending where you're at with Star Wars is weird for me because it's not like I'm mad at Star Wars. I just kind of care less about it than I used to. And I wouldn't have said it was one project. It was just kind of a bunch of things that gradually kind of lowered my things on it. But it was interesting that like the day before this announcement it came, a day or two, they came out with Andor Season 2 trailer. Have you seen this trailer?
I have not.
Oh, man. It's rough for me. Like it's to rock music. It just feels very un-Star Wars.
That kind of seems weird with the vibe of Andor Season 1.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a song about revolution or something. So it kind of fits with the theme, I guess. It just feels, I don't know, when a lot of fans feel jaded towards Star Wars, and the reason they're giving is you keep putting out stuff that doesn't feel like Star Wars, and then you put out that trailer that really doesn't feel like Star Wars. It's just kind of an odd choice.
It is, but maybe you're trying to cultivate a new fandom of Star Wars with younger people that aren't attached to the old classics.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm at a point where I'm like, I mean, I'm not sure I'm interested if it's not about the Skywalkers, you know?
Well, they're all gone.
Dude, no, they're not. Rey Skywalker is still around, Cody.
Somehow she got adopted into the Skywalker clan.
By the way, somehow he came back. That joke's never going away. Anyways, Kathleen Kennedy, there was all these reports and a lot of people were celebrating because, you know, there's just a lot of, what should we call them? What should we call Star Wars old grumpy Star Wars super fans? There were just a bunch of really old nerds who were kind of celebrating. They were singing Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead. And they were doing a dance.
That's a bit extreme.
Maybe, yeah. But
she has never personally done anything to wrong me.
I don't know. That last Indiana Jones movie was really close. See, I've got bigger problems with Indiana Jones, but Star Wars, I don't know. I liked Skeleton Crew. It was all right. It was for kids, but it felt like it was the first thing they'd done in a long time that felt like it had that kind of childlike wonder built into it that the original trilogy had. But
bring back the Ewoks.
Yeah. Anyways, a day later, according to a source familiar with the matter who spoke to CNN, they said this may not be the case. The source said there's nothing there right now regarding her retirement. Quote, any announcement of Kennedy's retirement, if indeed there's anything to announce, will be made public when actual decisions are made. The source told CNN that was a whole lot of nothing.
Yes, because it kind of sounds like, well, she might be contemplating it and or really does have a date in mind, but until it happens, you're not going to know, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to tell you every movie that's come out under her regime.
Okay.
And you're going to just make a noise, like some sort of sound effect that will denote how you feel about the movie. All right, you ready for this?
Okay.
I just thought of this just now. 2015, The Force Awakens. 2016, Rogue One.
Hey, that was good.
That was more to sound, but you really liked it. 2017, The Last Jedi.
Not bad.
2018, Solo. 2019, The Rise of Skywalker.
Ugh.
Yeah, if we had a flushing sound effect, I might have done that one. That one was not good. And she should get credit for some of the TV successes too. Mandalorian.
Bravo.
Yeah, and that's the next thing they're developing is a movie due out in 2026, Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
As they should. You cash in on that cash cow.
Yeah, Grogu. The word is, by the way, I heard this. I don't know if there's any validity to this or not. That they're growing Grogu a little bit for the movie. There's gonna be a tiny time jump, so he's gonna be a little bit bigger.
Hopefully, he can talk.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool to see if he talks like Yoda, or if that was just Yoda's. Like Yoda was just different.
Yoda is a bit different.
Yeah. So, anyways, is Kathleen Kennedy retiring? Unknown. She's in her 70s. I mean, I would assume it's going to happen soon.
She could keep going as long as she wanted, honestly, with the job she has, because she's not out there like physically making the movies. She's just like, oh, this sounds like something that will do good. You get a stamp, buddy.
Yeah, I would say not every project is overrun with this, but I would say let's just focus on, it's the Disney problem, right? Just focus on making good stories.
Please.
The Goonies, after Cody, years of rumors of, are they coming back? No. It was all rumor. This is for real. Warner Brothers has hired Potsy Ponsaroli, which that can't be a real name.
Sounds 100% real.
to write a script for Goonies 2. It was announced last Friday, almost 40 years after the original movie hit theaters back in 1985. Spielberg, Christy Krieger, and Holly Barrio will produce for Amblin Entertainment alongside Christopher Columbus, not the Explorer. Chris, as he's more well known.
I was going to say, we have canceled Christopher Columbus, buddy.
Who wrote the original Goonies script, and Lauren Schuler Donner will executive produce. So no director attached yet, but Josh Brolin, Sean Astin, Corey Feldman, Ki Hui Kwan, and Martha Plimpton all starred in the original, and from what we hear, probable to be back.
Mama Fratelli will not.
No, sadly, she passed on. Are you excited about this?
Probably not.
You get out of here right now.
So I love the Goonies, but I have seen several of these. We need to make a sequel 2 decades past the time that we should have made a sequel.
That works in the favor sometimes, though. I think if you look at things like Cobra Kai, which understandably is a series, not a movie, although this may work better as a movie. You don't have to explain as much, right?
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm hesitant. Like, I'm also hesitant with Happy Gilmore 2, and it's not as...
Oh, you should totally be hesitant with Happy Gilmore 2. That is way more questionable than Goonies 2.
I don't know, because, like, you don't really have a major, like, story you have to come up with. He's just a golfer.
Yeah, but look at the people involved. All due respect to Adam Sandler. I mean, I just rattled off some
The
names.
Sandman.
Spielberg. Like, the people involved in this one, I feel a little more confident
my
than Happy
friend
Gilmore 2.
Stevie Spielberg was also on the Titanic that was Indiana Jones in the past 2 movies.
Well, that was Kathleen Kennedy's fault. I thought we already established that. So much of the original cast still around, not Mama Fratelli, but there is someone who's a little worried that he might not be asked back. I saw this, by the way, the headline for this was hilarious because it said original cast member worried that he might not be asked back for his politics. And I was like, well, who would that be? Like Feldman?
No, not Corey.
I mean, Feldman's coming back. No. It would be Jake Fratelli, played by Robert Davi, who is a very outspoken conservative Trump supporter. Like, he's one of these dudes online that is very outspoken.
So,
like James Wood level.
I wouldn't expect him to be asked back just because maybe the Fratelli storyline's done.
Well, isn't his brother gone too? The guy who played Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano, didn't he pass away as well?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because you can easily move on from the Fratellis. It's about the Goonies themselves.
Oh, wait a minute. Joey Pants is still around.
Oh, well, good.
He's still alive.
Well, their other brother, I think, is dead.
Sloth. Oh, yeah, but John Matusak, he passed away.
Yes.
Like right after the movie came out.
So we're not going to go back to the Fratellis. It doesn't even make sense.
So you don't think Sloth's going to be in this movie?
I don't think Sloth will be in this movie.
Because you understand that was all makeup?
Yeah.
They could really make any dude look like that.
Well, his life expectancy might not be that of the other individuals.
Stop. You're making me sad now. I don't want to think about that, man. Come on.
I'm sorry that I'm a realist.
Gosh, that's double sad. Not only am I still mourning John Matusak, but now you're going to tell me the Sloth who got dropped on his head a few times as a baby is probably looking at a shorter lifespan.
Yes.
I can't even imagine the grief Chunk went through. Now I'm not as excited. I'm very sad.
If they bring back Sloth, I might be upset.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just thought that was a no-brainer.
I don't know if that is a brainer.
What do you think the story should be? What's a story that you think works here?
I think it would be based around everyone's kids.
Right.
Just being friends.
That they're all still around the Goondocks.
Yes.
You got to go back to Oregon. But then, you can't really be. I always did wonder, like, how fast did people get on boats to go track down that ship? Because they would have.
And where's that octopus?
You sent me a little TikTok this week about the things cut out of that movie. If you read the book that was based on the original screenplay, the octopus scene is in there.
Well, the octopus scene was shown on TV when I was a kid, periodically.
Yeah,
and
so the made-for-TV version, you mean? The one they put on TV?
The one they put on TV, yes.
So to fill out the 2 hours or whatever block they were doing, they would sometimes insert those scenes back in.
And I'm like, this isn't special. I've seen this. And then when they released the DVD, no, it was special.
Yeah, very special. Yeah, it's not in there.
Some people were like, what? There's no octopus.
Now, I'm a Goonies super fan, so I've seen both versions multiple times.
I've lived it.
What do you mean you lived it? This isn't your movie. This is Gen X's movie. There's no questioning this one.
I'm sorry. It was on TBS and TNT like all the time in the 90s. So millennials grew up with it.
We're just going to move on and ignore Cody at this point. He's just trying to bait me. Listen, when I stayed home from school, this was the first movie I watched. Every time, no doubt about it, you watched Goonies first, Return of the Jedi, and then a third movie that was on rotation. That was my rotation. What do you think about that?
It's not bad.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. So Goonies 2 is coming in the works. Now with look, you got Josh Brolin, who's been nominated for Oscars. You got Ke Huy Quan, Oscar winner.
Yeah.
This movie's loaded.
Corey Feldman.
Martha Plimpton. Poor Corey.
Did Sean not win one?
Sean Astin?
I feel at least the films he was in won several.
I mean, he was in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He was nominated for an Oscar in 1995 for Best Short Film Live Action.
Really?
He won a Saturn Award? What's a Saturn Award? Is that like the sci-fi ones? The geeky stuff?
Maybe.
But for Best Supporting Actor in Return of the King.
As he should. Dude carried the whole movie.
He was part of the ensemble that won Best Acting Ensemble and Critics' Choice Award for Return of the King. So he's been, he's won some more. He won the MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Team in The Two Towers with him and Elijah Wood.
Nice.
Yeah. So, he won a bunch of, not Oscars, of course.
He should have won one for Rudy.
Rudy gets poisoned because Rudy, the real Rudy, may have embellished a few things about his story.
You got to strike while the iron's hot.
Poor Rudy Rudiger. Okay. Other news. DC was back. DCU was active this week as James Gunn got out a whole bunch of information this week, including, we got Superman launching this summer.
And a new trailer coming out soon.
You got Lanterns they're working on that will that come out on Max probably?
Yeah.
It's a TV series, which if you remember way back when Gunn was taking over, that was actually my idea to how to start the universe off, was a TV series built around the Lanterns.
We got Creature Commandos.
Well, yeah. That's
animated.
Do we count the animated?
It's going to fit in.
It's going to fit in, but its success, nothing was riding on the success of that. Superman, there's a lot riding on
There's a ton riding on the success of Superman.
But I feel like it really has no chance of failing.
I hope you're right, buddy.
Yeah. I would say the only thing that could put a dent in it is Snyder fans. Why are Snyder fans so bitter?
Because you definitely know that the vision that Zack Snyder had, if he wasn't being rushed by the brothers of Warner, would have been an epic story, but I don't know how long that story would have been.
Yeah.
Because Zach does not like to tell short stories. Very long stories.
So Superman's currently in editing. They're all the shooting is done on that, of course. Supergirl's halfway through production.
I'm excited for that one, and I'm not even a huge Supergirl guy, so...
Yeah, me either. But they got the girl from the House of the Dragon.
Yes.
Peacemaker Season 2 recently wrapped filming.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited for that one.
That's coming in late August, apparently. Clayface, camera set to roll this summer. With James Watkins currently in negotiations to direct. Safran described it as an amazing body horror film.
And rumor has it, Harold Potter will star in it. Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, I thought you like Harry Potter's not real, man.
He is. His name's Daniel.
Wow. Okay, that would be a get.
That's the rumors. Nothing officially announced yet.
You've got Swamp Thing is still out there. James Mangold was sort of being mentioned in connection with that, but there's some suggestion of whether that was one of the ones that had kind of fallen off.
And Clayface also is written by Mike Flanagan.
Yes, of Midnight Mass fame.
And a bunch of other things.
The Authority, another one that's kind of one that was announced, but is kind of maybe been pushed to the back burner. The interesting stuff is anything to do with Batman. As they announced that The Brave and the Bold, which is a Batman title, is in active development, script currently being written. They're searching for their Batman. That was kind of... So, did we talk about this on the news of the pod last week? Or did we just talk about it personally?
I know we talked about it personally.
Yeah. There was some debate between me and Cody because what's the word I'm looking for?
Concern.
No, my contention. My contention is that they're gonna do away with Matt Reeves, the Batman 2. I don't think that's ever gonna hit production.
That's hitting production soon.
No, they don't have a script yet. That's the official stance. It's in the article.
He says he hasn't seen the final script.
Now, why would he say that?
Because he hasn't seen the final script.
Dude, James Gunn is much more slick than you give him credit for.
I promise you, Batman 2 will come out. DC/Warner Brothers raked in the dough on the last one, and they're not about to mess up our Pat's bat.
But what if the Batman's really good and Superman gets like average scores? Like, what happens then?
Then you say maybe the character of Superman's really not that interesting to modern audiences.
But come on, you know what I'm getting at.
But
you don't see a conflict of interest anywhere here.
No, because James Gunn already has his just desserts over at Marvel. So you can't say that James Gunn's writing or James Gunn's directing is going to be bad.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm talking mostly about a word of mouth sort of thing. Word of mouth is already against. He hasn't even had a movie come out yet, and yet you've got a giant chunk of these DC fans that hate it.
Well, they can eat fish as part of a heart-healthy diet.
I do like fish. It is Lent.
Yes.
Is it Lent? Lent is what's in my pocket.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, so DC's got some stuff going on. Yeah. Well, tell me what they're doing per year.
Per year, 2 live-action films, 1 animated film, 2 live-action series, 2 animated series, and this will culminate after 6 years in an Avengers Endgame level event.
That's a lot.
It is.
All right. I'm rooting for it. I would like another comic book universe to be a fan of.
From the mastermind behind the Infinity Saga.
No, stop it. You can't give him all the credit for that.
That's what my friend Kevin gave him credit for.
He did not say it like that. You are embellishing it to make it sound more grand than his part was.
My dear friend Kevin Feige agrees.
All right, we need a break to collect ourselves. We'll be back to do Be Kind Rewind on Castaway. Coming up.
This is Pop Culture Pastor.
So, Cody, when I was coming up with the idea for our podcast, very early stages, my first idea was a volleyball as a co-host with a painted on face whose name was Cody.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm joking, of course, but yeah, we should have a third co-host, not Wilson, because that's cliche.
Spalding
It could be a basketball, and his name could be Naismith
or Russell.
Russell. That's a good name, Russ. We're gonna let Russ cook over there on the third mic.
Yep.
What's that, Russ? Oh, Cody, what do you have to say about that? He called you an idiot. You didn't hear that?
This is not a family-friendly basketball.
Well, Russ didn't ever promise that. Stay tuned for more Pop Culture Pastor with our third co-host, Russ the Basketball. No, of course, we're talking about Castaway. A little Be Kind Rewind for what is, I think, one of my favorite movies, Cody. I really like this movie. 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Came out December 7th, 2000. So we're in the 25th anniversary for this movie. Directed by Robert Zemeckis. Tom Hanks won the Golden Globe for Best Actor. He was nominated for an Oscar, but didn't win. Cost $90 million to make. Made $429 million at the box office, which is...
It got rented.
Yeah, man. I'm pretty sure I saw this one in the theater. Do you want me to do the blurb?
You can do the blurb right after I say the fan score, though, on Rotten Tomatoes.
What's the fan score?
Only 84.
Oh, it goes down a little bit.
It does.
Well, people are allowed to be wrong, Cody.
I don't know. We will see.
I guess we're getting a preview where this pod's going. All right, here we go. Obsessively punctual FedEx executive Chuck Noland, played by Tom Hanks, is en route to an assignment in Malaysia to kill the prime minister. No, sorry, that was Zoolander. When his plane crashes over the Pacific Ocean during a storm. The sole survivor of the flight, Chuck washes ashore on a deserted island. When his efforts to sail away and contact help fail, Chuck learns how to survive on the island, where he remains for years, accompanied by only his handmade volleyball friend Wilson. Will Chuck ever return to civilization and reunite with his loved ones? I love the open-ended question.
We get the answer.
Yeah, by the way, the trailers that they put out for the movie would lead you to believe yes. The answer to that question is yes.
Oh.
In fact, if I remember right, that was one of the main troubles when this movie came out way back in 2000 was that they gave away that he gets off the island in the trailer. Interesting though, because for me, the movie's not about some mystery about whether he's going to get off. It's not about that. But let's just talk about what we think this movie is actually about. Broad take. You've heard, I mean, listen, this is not a super out there plot device.
No.
We actually people love the whole deserted on a island kind of motif. Makes us think we could do that.
Fools.
So the blurb,
I don't even think Bear Grylls can make it.
The blurb is right, man. FedEx employee or FedEx super employee, because this dude's good at his job.
He's a jerk face.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
He is.
We can get into that for sure. But the plane goes down. They're over the Pacific. He somehow survives, ends up on an island for over 4 years plus. And the bulk of the movie follows him there. His trials and tribulations on this island, staying alive, and then finds a way to get off the island and makes it back to civilization. Spoilers, obviously, but it's been out 25 years, and the trailer gave it away.
I avoided the trailer for this long.
We watched the movie. Yes, as I already said, off of a budget of $90 million, the movie made $429 worldwide. However, the movie only ends up getting 2 Oscar nominations. A little bit surprising. One was for Best Sound. The other went to Hanks for Best Actor. Neither won.
And I want you to put a pinpoint in this factoid that it got nominated for 2 Oscars.
That it got nominated? Okay.
Because it will go to a greater theory in what's not so good.
Okay. Tom Hanks, I don't know if you know this, but the story starts with him. So he reads an article about FedEx, which talked about the fact that massive jets filled with packages were crisscrossing the Pacific Ocean multiple times a day for the company. And he wondered what would happen if one of those planes went down. And that was sort of the seed from which Castaway grew.
Did he write this?
No, they hired a writer, but the idea came from Hanks and Zemeckis and all these guys. In order to create the story in a way, in order to, well, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but things that we know actors to do now more commonly. This was one of the first times I remember seeing an actor really change his body.
He did the ultimate transformation.
Yeah. So Hanks, before shooting starts, he bulked himself up. Now they shot this out of order. So they shoot the island stuff first. Right? Am I thinking of that? No.
If it's out of order, they would have to shoot the islands.
Yeah. I don't remember how it does it, but he bulked up for the early shots. He gained 50 pounds to shoot the scenes of Chuck before the crash. And then after the crash and after he's been on the island for years, we see him like in pretty peak physical condition.
Skeletor.
Yeah. He doesn't have much fat on his body. Said he didn't have French fries for a long time. That was the hard part for him.
We've all been there, buddy.
Zemeckis began shooting the film in January of 99, and then 2 months later, production took a break for over a year. So Castaway did not shoot again until April of 2000. And during that time, Hanks lost weight and grew out his hair and beard in order to be able to shoot the later scenes on the island. So I guess that sums up how they did it. For the uninhabited island that he washes up on the shore of, they shot on an uninhabited island. This one is in the middle of nowhere. Manuriki, an island in the Fiji archipelago.
That was my exact guess for the location.
It has since become a tourist attraction because, of course, it has.
I'm not going there.
The ranch scenes were shot in Arrington Ranch, just south of Canadian, Texas, which apparently is a town in Texas.
It is.
It's very confusing. The score for Castaway, Alan Silvestri, he won a Grammy for this score, which is really interesting because it's not used until after he's rescued. So like the last half hour of the movie.
That seems ridiculous.
Because there's no music for it, but it's beautiful, Cody. Like the music, we're going to talk about the last half hour of the movie because I have thoughts, but Alan Silvestri won a Grammy for the music that happens in the last half of the movie or the last 30 minutes of the movie. It inspires a lot of things. So the same year this comes out, a little show called Survivor later comes out, the reality show. Also, ABC executive Lloyd Braun pitches the idea of a Castaway TV show not long after this movie comes out. It did not, it kind of gets set on the back burner for a while, but they kind of kept continuing, kept building it. And eventually they produced a little TV show called Lost.
Which From the way you have described Lost, significantly better.
What is?
Lost is significantly better.
Than this movie?
Yes.
You're just being jaded.
No. So I'm going to take
They're both good.
I'm going to take you behind the curtains. This was one of my favorite movies when I was, came out in 2000 when I was 11. One of my favorite movies, and time has not done it well.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What happened? Who hurt you?
The world.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing what happened. The writer of this movie really marooned himself on an island before he writes it, on an island in the Gulf of California that no presidents wanted to change the name of since, but, that's just a little political joke. But in order to prepare himself to write the screenplay, he really marooned himself on an island. He speared and ate stingrays. He drank coconut juice, built a tent out of bamboo, struggled to make his own fire, and the experience kind of gave him an understanding of what it meant to be truly alone. And he actually found a deserted volleyball on the beach of that island, and that's where the idea of Wilson came from. So that was real.
So I feel you can tell that he was deserted for a very short time.
Oh, man, you are going super critical.
Oh, yeah, no. There was a reason that I was voting for other movies because I did not want to bash Thomas Hanks in this movie.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll just get going. But first, let's Muppetize the movie. Cody, do you have a Muppetize the movie? Keep one human actor.
There is only one human actor for 90% of the movie.
I know. That's what makes it fun. Do you want to hear mine?
I will keep the Nick Searcy, who plays Stan.
Atta kid. See, you can do it.
I will have Gonzo be Tom Hanks.
Oh, all right.
Just because I think Gonzo losing his sanity on an island would be intriguing.
I don't hate it, but I had a special part for Gonzo. That's why I didn't use him there.
I guess I have to go Miss Piggy for Helen Hunt.
Oh no, there is another.
Unless it's the lady that's in the band.
Yeah,
I don't remember her name.
Oh, I know it.
And then I guess for the dentist, I will go with Kermit. That way it actually makes sense. Piggy and Kermit.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm keeping Albert, the pilot that washes up on the shore, because I think, him washing up on the shore, a human, and having my Chuck Nolan as a Muppet react to that would bring some real levity to this Muppet movie. I'm having Fozzie as Chuck Nolan because Fozzie's he's kind of plump. And if you skinny him up after he's been on the island, grow the hair out, he would look pretty interesting. It would be quite affecting. As I said, I'm going with Janice from the Electric Mayhem, the Muppet with the big lips.
Yes.
To play Kelly Frears. And this one, I'm really proud of this one. I'm going with Gonzo as Wilson. So Chuck carries on these seemingly one-sided conversations with Wilson since his good friend is, an inanimate object. However, for the sake of telling the story and helping to give him a hand in terms of his motivation, in the real movie, dialogue was written for Wilson in the script. I read that when I was studying for this movie. So what I was thinking is Gonzo's face could actually be the ball, and we would actually be able to hear him talking, him saying the lines. But then as he floated off, like he does in the movie, it would be clear that he was a ball the whole time. And that Fozzie, Chuck Nolan, was imagining it all. And that Gonzo would bring that to life. Well, come on, that's brilliant.
That might brilliant. Be a little too deep for the standard audience.
And then Kermit, I had Kermit as Chuck's best friend.
Oh, yeah.
The one who was very sad because he lost his wife also while he was gone and all that. But all right, so it's time for what holds up. Do you have anything that holds up, Mr. Negative Nancy?
So one thing that while I was doing my research, because I didn't want to be too critical of this, although I'm going to be very critical, is that our dear friend Chuck, better known as Tomas Hanks, when it pans over his trophies, he has a sailing certificate. So he knows how to sail.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you assume they don't, obviously they don't tell you anything in the movie that would make you think it, but just the idea, like, how would he know that, the sail's going to get me over that rough break into the island? Like, I wouldn't have known that.
Also, I will name the obvious. Tom Hanks is good in this.
Oh.
And like you said, this is like the first real big transformation that we see people going for Oscars, where they go from one extreme to another.
They transform their body.
Batman himself did that in The Machinist.
Christian Bale.
Yes.
That was gross, though.
He
looks like he was almost
and
dead.
then he also then bulked up to play Batman right after. So, yes, Christian Bale follows closely in the footsteps, and he does this multiple times in other movies as well.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a masterclass in acting by Tom Hanks. This is his best performance, right?
Probably not.
What's better and why? Tell me what's better and why.
So
I'm trying to understand.
Like, now I almost need to pull up his whole acting discography, because there's our filmography. I mean, Philadelphia is huge.
Well, yeah, okay. So he wins the Oscar for Philadelphia.
I would probably argue even Forrest Gump. Big.
I mean, he's good in everything. He's Tom Hanks, but there is something impressive about a dude who, like we already mentioned, he's probably the first big time actor to really change his body, to transform his body. But he's on the screen for, I mean, is it 30 minutes without any dialogue, where he's just carrying the movie with his facial expressions, his mannerisms. He plays so well. Watching this again last night, I was really impressed with, there is a flow in the movie that only works if you get a great acting performance, where from beginning to end, there is movement. There's like this slow movement in the story, and I'll get into some of the other stuff later, but specifically in Tom Hanks's, from the moment he gets on the island till the moment he gets off, is this just kind of progression where he's lapsing into madness. Then we get the time jump, and we see a kind of a new guy, and then we find out later what happened in the in-between. But I just think it's wonderful. It's an amazing performance.
Just remember, he was a kid that was in a grown-up's body.
That was also pretty good. Yeah, I mean, what else? Do you have anything else that holds up?
Helen Hunt is really likable in this until he returns.
Really? God, tell me why she's not likable when he returns. I mean, this is pretty complicated.
I'm great with her moving on. I actually think that's very realistic.
Yeah.
But I think she could have either said, no, I really don't want to rehash that part of my life, or, okay, I'm going to meet him, and actually meet him at the airport.
Yeah.
Gathering, and then the whole, I'm going to basically commit adultery almost.
Oh, she kissed him.
And hugged him and jumped in his arms.
They were going to be engaged. I mean, if he doesn't get to crash, that was her.
He also person. Could have asked before he got in the crash.
Well, that seemed to be his problem, though, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was him,
so
not her.
Literally, they flip-flop for me. Like, he, before the crash, eat fish.
Well, I'm kind of carrying on a debate with you, in sort of for the fun of the episode, and because it's interesting, and because I do feel differently. I love this movie, but Roger Ebert is in your corner.
Yeah,
Ebert had all sorts of problems with the last act of this movie, and a lot of it centered with how it ends, just the way all these characters go.
And the dentist is the one that has to break it to him.
Yeah,
the dentist.
But you don't. It's not that it's not believable for you, right? Because that would be a lot of complex emotions.
Very conflicting, yes. But everything leading up to this had me believing that she would have either had the sincerity to say, I can't go back, or I will say hey and be on my merry way. Because it was cruel how it all went down.
I think people who are younger won't understand why it's such a big deal that the two actors that are the main focus here are Tom Hanks and Helen Hunt. Both get their start in the 80s pretty young. Helen Hunt was actually a child star.
And she was Mad About You.
Right. So Mad About You's huge. When this movie comes out, if you could have picked the most wholesome American apple pie, that we all just kind of loved, actor and actress, and made them an item in a movie, it would have been Tom Hanks and Helen Hunt. Everybody loved them.
Sandy Bullock before Sandy Bullock was Sandy Bullock.
That's a good, yeah. The way people feel about Sandra Bullock later on, yeah.
Yes.
Helen Hunt, there's just something about Helen Hunt that people really, really love. And
Tom Hanks was a bosom buddy. He also was Alex P. Keaton's drunk uncle that would ask for all the vanilla in the house.
I don't think you have to explain Tom Hanks. I think everyone gets that. Helen Hunt is a little bit more under the radar, which is weird because she was huge.
She was.
Okay. Is that all you have that holds up? Do I get to go?
Yeah.
So to me, there were lots of things there's things I catch each time in the story that I don't catch. And a lot of it we're going to get to in deeper themes. But the whole lead up and the idea of who this guy is and what the movie's trying to say, I noticed more of it, especially closer to the beginning. So first of all, the whole beginning scene in Russia is just really cool. It's a great scene. I always forget it's kind of there. And then each time I watch it, I'm like, oh,
this kid can deliver a package quicker than you can.
Yeah, but we get to see him in his element and why he's so high up with FedEx. He's good at what he does, but he's all about, obviously, efficiency and using time to the fullest in a working sort of sense. He has this quote where the guy said, well, it was only 2 minutes off. And he says, well, today it's 2 minutes. Tomorrow it's 4. Then it's 6. Then it's 8. Next thing you know, we're the U.S. mail.
Touche.
Which, United States Postal Service slander.
I don't know if it's slander, if it's fact.
Zing! But man, that whole first scene is so good in telling us everything we need to know about who this guy is and what he prioritizes. And so the breadcrumbs of this movie, this movie does a great job of dropping all these breadcrumbs that you don't notice on the first watch, and you pick them up on multiple watches. All the things he could have used is just one example. So the keys he gives to Kelly before he gets on the plane has a Swiss Army knife on it. Mm-hmm. His shoes, he takes off his shoes in the plane. That's a problem. There's all these little, they're almost like Easter eggs before Easter eggs, right?
Easter eggs have been around for a long time, Dave.
But there's all these little dropped hints about all the things he could have used on the island. But then, also just about, I think there's a common theme that is not, I don't think they've ever talked about it, about what they're trying to say with this story, but I noticed more of it on this viewing, but I'll get to that in deeper themes. The crash scene made me not want to get on a plane for a while. It's intense.
It didn't bother me.
Some people would, some people wouldn't.
It would probably bother my wife, but not me.
I'm always impressed he gets on the plane after he comes back.
Mr. Efficiency knows it's a long trip sailing and walking and car riding. You just go ahead and you put me on that plane.
The crash scene is so vivid, so amazing, even to the part where he gets into the water, his escape from the plane, and then he's on that little, ramshackle raft and the huge waves and the lightning. And oh man, that's just a really well done scene. And of course, Tom Hanks we've already talked about it, but I mean, I just think it's one of the best acting performances generationally.
Whoa!
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that good. I think it's amazing. I don't know how he doesn't win that year. You look up who wins the Oscar for Best Actor that year, because to me, while he's always good in everything, like there's really no other performance like this that he does. I can't believe he didn't win for this role.
Oh, no, he deserved to lose.
Yeah, who won?
So it is my best friend and member of our Geek Wall of Fame, Russell Crowe, for Gladiator.
That's a tough year. Although most people are of the opinion that Russell should have won it for whatever came out right before
Master and Commander.
Or was it A Beautiful Mind?
A Beautiful Mind was good.
And that he didn't, and that this was sort of a makeup.
Also nominated against Tomas, Ed Harris for Pollock. Ed Harris did a great job in that. Jeffrey Rush for Quills, didn't see it. And Javier Bardem for Before Night Falls.
Side note, is there an actor with more percentage of a movies that he was in that you would say didn't see it than Jeffrey Rush? Is there any other actor that you would be like, didn't see it? Great actor.
I assume it was brilliant.
Great actor. He was good in that, that one thing.
Yep.
I don't know, man. You know me, I love Gladiator, but was Russell Crowe better in Gladiator than Tom Hanks was in Castaway? I'm not so sure.
If Gladiator 2 did not exist, I would say this was almost a near perfect action film.
So it sours you on the original that much?
It does.
Sorry, Russell. We're gonna need to take that Oscar back because they made Gladiator 2.
And
we know
Jeffrey
you didn't have anything
Rush
to do with it.
is ready for it.
And Jeffrey Rush was phenomenal in Quills, although we didn't see it. All right, okay. What doesn't? I'll go first for what doesn't hold up.
Yes, you go first.
Because I only have one thing. The dental extraction scene. That's tough to watch. Oh my gosh. I cringe every time I watch that. I don't know why I watch it. I'm going to start fast forwarding it when I rewatch this movie because I can't. That's rough. And I just, I'm getting the shivers thinking about it. That's all I got.
Okay. So this movie, I now have something to compare it to. And it's a film that a lot of people loved. But a lot of people upon rewatch are like, okay, Cody, you had some valid points. And it stars one Sandra Bullock. Gravity.
Gravity is not even close to as good as this movie, though. Even on first watch. I'm sorry. You go. Continue.
It is too unbelievable that they both survive. There's nothing that leads you to believe that he can last on an island for 5 years or however long. Especially with him being a executive or higher up at FedEx. That's just about efficiency.
Okay, well that part is a little bit. I think you're on a better track there because. Like Bear Grylls, like these dudes, they're designed to live off the land. They know how to do it.
It's staged.
I mean, there's fish.
Bear Grylls is staged.
It rains a lot. There's fresh water.
Bear Grylls is staged.
Okay, Bear Grylls was an example, man.
Yeah,
there's clearly these dudes out there.
I don't think Bear Grylls would make it. That's what I'm saying. And
he's
also
got fire. He's got fish. He's got water.
I don't even know how. Like they needed to do some. like retcon, backsplaining on, well, he grew up a Boy Scout. Like,
you just think you needed more information.
Need more information on that, and also I don't think cognitively he would be where he was at by the time that he gets off the island.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could definitely may hinder him from ever making it off the island, even if he lives the first 6 months or whatever.
How much time do you think is in between the point where he gets rescued from the boat and the time where he's being marched out in front of everyone? Because he's got like the liver spot or whatever that is on his face, and that is significantly smaller in the scene where he's meeting the press and everybody. Makes me wonder if there was like some recovery time we jump over, or do they remove that?
The ship would have to make it to land, and evidently we're in the middle of nowhere because Helen Hunt pulls out a map and is like, "This is where you were, and this is where you rafted to, and this is this far from wherever."
Yeah, the Cook Island. He's like 600 miles south of the Cook Islands or something.
And he evidently could survive on the raft for 500 miles. So it has the gravity problem for me. Upon rewatch, this is probably like my 6th or 7th time, because like I said, I really liked it. It's bad Oscar bait. That is my knock on Tom Hanks post 2000 on. A lot of his movies seem Oscar bait. That it has all the makings to be an Oscar-worthy film, but yet they're not necessarily stories that you are deeply connected to or will go back and be like, oh my goodness, it still moves me. It's so enriching. Like Terminal. I loved that movie on first watch. Dude lives in an airport forever. Stuck there.
You don't like that one now either?
Have you rewatched it?
Oh, yeah. I like Terminal. I think it's a great movie. It's not as good as this one, but I like it.
And he does something super impressive to get in the Oscar hunt for it. He learns a obscure foreign language. Like, he completely shifts his dialect. He does a lot of things.
But to you, that's a trick.
If the story's good, then I'm good.
Okay.
I don't think this story really holds up that well.
Wow. All right.
I mean, I'm super impressed by what he does, and I definitely think he deserves an Oscar nomination. But post 2000, there's a lot less, like Forrest Gump. I could watch that every day. And we can also say, well, there's some comedic stuff in his early runs and early years that he's not necessarily going after anymore. But I would also rewatch Apollo
13.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a story that's more relatable, more connectable.
Now, when you say relatable, Apollo 13 is more. Explain that to me. Why is a movie about astronauts more relatable than a guy who gets in a plane crash?
Because it's really something that really did happen. I mean, we can say Terminal really did happen too, because it's loosely based on
planes crash all the time. There's people get marooned on islands. That happens.
People get marooned on islands?
Yes,
that happens all the time.
I mean, it happens. When I was researching this movie, I came across 3 that happened in the last couple of years.
And they lived for 5 years out on this island?
Not 5 years, no.
And no one was ever able to locate them?
No.
They built a raft and made it?
Listen, this is a much different time. So there's a story I came across where somebody spotted the help sign they made from Google Earth.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a real story. It happened. They spent, I think like maybe a couple weeks, if I remember right. And someone spotted the island, the help sign they made on Google Earth. That was a real thing. But obviously back in 2005, that's not a thing.
So I also think Tom Hanks suffers that these are major box office films. Like, it's a major studio. It's not an indie film. It's not an art house film. So, like, when you do Oscar bait, as I'm going to refer to it as, if you are in an indie film company that like only shows at Cannes and Sundance, then, oh, okay. You're like a shoo-in for an Oscar nomination, if not an Oscar win. But this isn't that.
Okay. All right. Anything else that doesn't hold up?
Already talked about Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt doesn't hold up. You mean the way her character acts.
Post.
Roger,
I will say...
And again, Roger Ebert agreed with you. He hated the end of the movie.
I do think if we had said this was almost a remake of the Shakespeare story, The Tempest, or had used The Tempest as the seed instead of FedEx shipping stuff across the Pacific every day, it might have been a lot better of a film.
All right.
Because Tom Hanks does go through a change on the island.
Yes.
I think it suffers from, we're going to make it a 5-year deal instead of maybe a couple months.
Okay.
Which would give Helen Hunt plenty of time to be like, well, he was a deadbeat and never proposed. I'm going to start dating.
Just a couple months?
Oh, yeah. He was a deadbeat and he never proposed.
What? Everyone listening to this pod's like, Cody's a pastor? He's so cynical. Cynical Cody showed up in a big way today.
He did. And again, I didn't want to. I didn't want to.
Yeah, you know what? I know you lost your boyfriend that you were hoping would propose to you.
But he never did.
And we're presumably with for years, but you should really get back in the dating pool. It's been 2 months.
There's some people that do get back in the dating pool that quick.
Well, I mean, yeah, some people. But their relationship as depicted seems pretty close.
By the pictures on the refrigerator, her daughter isn't just the newborn.
That's okay.
So it seems like she got back in the dating pool relatively
quickly. 2 years
quickly.
is different than 2 months.
She might have been right back in the dating pool.
We are dragging the bottom right now.
Roger and I get it.
Roger. He did his root canal. He was referred to him by dentist Dr. Spalding.
Yep.
All right. Do you have any deeper themes that you'd like to talk about?
I did say that there was like a Tempest level changing, a sea change, if you will, in the character of Tom Hanks. From being, I'm just all about being all about business, and it's going to be super fast, and I'm going to have my beeper, going to have my cell phone, going to have everything on me. And then the way we end the movie, I can go any way we want to.
Yeah, well, let's okay. So describe that. What do you get from it? Because the ending of the movie seems to be the part that most people differ on. What do you get from the ending of the movie? What's the story trying to say that, in your opinion? Because the movie ends with him on a crossroad, and that's where it ends. It closes up on his face. He looks like he sort of maybe has a kind of half smile.
Yeah, and I'm like, that lady's not stopping, buddy.
Nope.
She's going to keep on keeping on.
I don't think some people think, oh, he follows the lady. No, I don't think so.
Nope. Is he going to deliver that volleyball to the poor sucker that he ripped open their package?
No, the volleyball floats away, man. It's in the Pacific.
Well, he has a volleyball in the back of his truck. He has a brand new volleyball, and it's still in the box. So I always thought he was just going to deliver the volleyball.
Maybe he's just reanimating his friend.
That was what I thought this go round, but it was not in the truck. It was in like the bed of the truck.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So, but what do you get out of the movie? Like, what is the end of the movie telling you? That
he now has the freedom to live.
Okay. That's kind of where I was at too. To me, the theme of this movie, one of the big themes, is time. He talks about it constantly in the beginning. He never had time, except he did
all the time.
He had lots of it, but he did it because it was limited, and he doesn't realize it. right? So he's got all this time, but time in his job is it's moving, and it's got to be filled, and everything has a deadline, and he's got to go. In fact, he says we must not commit the sin of turning our back on time.
And time is money, and money is time.
Yeah, and so the guy we see in the beginning of the movie, where he looks like he's this. He's got it together. He's busy. He's successful. He's high up in his job. He's doing all these things. And yet, I think with what you just said at the end of the movie, we get this picture. Now, so in all of his scenes with Kelly in the beginning, they're all fast. They're hurried. They're rushed. They're opening Christmas presents to each other in the car as he's about to get on the plane. The contrast between his scenes with Kelly in the beginning, and I didn't notice that till this viewing, to the scene at the end. Do you notice how slow he's moving? He's moving so slowly through that scene. I mean, like physically moving slowly, walking into her kitchen, walking to the car, backing out of the driveway. Like everything's so slow. And
I assume that was just because he still is malnourished.
Probably. But I think there's something that I probably didn't notice the first few times I watched this, where they're saying something about time and about how we use our time and what is useful use of time. Because I don't think any American, no red-blooded American, is going to tell you that he was wasting time pre-crash. Dude's successful. He's got a great job. How much money do you think that job he's got pays him? Is that a $500,000 a year job?
Maybe in the year 2000 might have been a couple $100,000.
In the year 2000. Sorry, I can't hear anyone say that and not think of the Conan O'Brien skits. But yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think there's a concerted effort with the beginning scenes and the end scene to show you something that he realizes now. And that's that he understands what it means to have time. He understands the value of time better. And the contrast, I think is something that I think proves that. And that's what they're trying to say, is that all he could think of was Kelly when he's on the island. But he says it to his friend. He's like, I was totally alone and I had no hope. He had no hope, but yet he does have hope. Where's the hope coming from? Let's get deeper. The angel wings, Cody, on the package that he keeps, on the truck, on the sail. What do you think about that? Is that interesting to you at all? What are they trying to say with that? Those are clearly angel wings.
That there's a guardian angel watching over you.
Was he alone? Was he truly alone? Can we be truly alone?
No, we can't. I almost did the footprints in the sand quote, but I'm like, no, we're not doing that on this pod.
Well, I know, I'm struck by, there's probably a lot of people listening to this who are not religious people. And what I want to tell you is even if you're not religious, even if you think you don't believe in God or whatever, it stands to reason that it would be next to impossible for us to ever actually be alone. I mean, look what he does. Even if you're so cynical that you think there's nothing that you can't see, he literally creates in his mind another soul in a volleyball.
He does.
So the power of the human mind itself, and he's actually having a conversation with it. And I'm assuming there's some mental health stuff that's actually real in that, right?
Oh yeah. Isolation's not good for us. Being alone is not good for us. There is an assessment that is done for adults called the DLA-20. And one of the questions is, how many friends do you have? And what is considered healthy? And it's a shocking number to me. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't think it's 5. I think it's 3. Mm-hmm. 3 or more friends.
Yeah.
that is, you're good.
How many people have that many actually good friends now?
That's a good question.
This is a quote from someone named Shreya Sethi from an article I was reading. Says this, quote, humans are naturally drawn to stories of survival, endurance, and self-sufficiency. And the Castaway narrative is a potent distillation of these themes. It speaks to a deep-seated curiosity about our capacity to cope in the face of complete isolation and to reinvent ourselves when stripped of societal norms and constructs. End quote. My point in this, and why I think this is beautiful, what I think the end of the movie is trying to tell us is that he doesn't live the same way. He truly is different, like different person. Mm-hmm. Like his soul has been changed. And not because if you believe in the soul that it wasn't meant to be that way. No. I actually think he's closer to what he was meant to be by the end of the movie.
The old is gone and the new is here.
Yeah, it's the old Chuck Noland that was changed by the world. And I think what I appreciated about this movie and what I appreciate each time I watch it again, and I'm actually like, look, I cried a lot, especially the last 30 minutes of this movie, I think are so kind of sublime and poignant. I just love it so much. And yeah, we could talk a long time about whether we think Kelly would act in those ways, or, you know, like, I do think there's some dramatic, there's stuff she does that's written that's to make it more dramatic.
Yes.
Like not seeing him at the airport. She was too emotional, blah, blah, blah.
So what do you think about his conversation with Stan when he gets back?
Oh, so I love that part. I love the part that, you know, he talks about control, and he talks about how he realized he didn't have control. But I think that's part of what he's learned is that Americans, the way we're brought up in this capitalist society, it's about getting as much things under our control as possible. But what if that's all an illusion, Cody?
Well, we have control of very little.
Yeah, but more so, the illusion of control. What if we think if I get more control, it'll make me more relaxed. It'll make me feel better. But what if that's not true? What if actually, if I surrender any hope of control, that would actually bring me peace? There's no question that people in ancient times were more content than us.
Potentially. I wasn't there, but I'll believe you. So the thing that sticks out with the last conversation with Stan is they're talking about him, the funeral they had for him, and burying him, and they're like, what did you bury, since there was no body? And they talk about all the stuff, but he's like, well, that must have been tough for you. You had to bury me and then bury whatever the wife's name was, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there for you. Yeah,
that moved me to tears. I sobbed like a big baby watching
that. Might have been the best dialogue of the whole movie.
It's so good. And again, you get this sign about how he's changed, because if he doesn't get in the plane accident, he would have been at his funeral. But would he have actually been there? What constitutes us being present? That's my point. My point is, our body's a lot of places, but being present is something different. It's something that happens on a higher plane.
It requires some mindfulness.
And I sobbed like a baby when I watched that scene, because he gets it now. He's like, I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Well, dude, you were on an island. You were in a plane crash. We all thought you were dead. What are you saying sorry for? Because he's not just apologizing for that. He's apologizing for who he was.
Did it feel kind of gross and icky?
What part? That they have the press event?
That the press event, I definitely imagine FedEx doing. It's the party with all the shrimp and lobster
and drunkenness.
Yes.
It's weird. I think they're happy. I assume, like, so you get the idea that most of these people are with FedEx. These are his work friends.
Yes.
But you also I'm to assume that there was some large settlement. Like, he doesn't have to work the rest of his life, right? I mean, he will because he's the kind of guy
He's
who probably
going to go
would.
back to work for FedEx.
No, not a chance. There's a large settlement with his name on it.
He's back to work now.
I need a Castaway Part 2.
Oh, please don't.
I just need the screenwriter. He doesn't have to write it. I want the screenwriter on the show so we can just ask him, where do you see, like, in particular, Chuck Noland, where do you see his character 20 years later, and where do you see Kelly Frears 20 years later? Because actually, I think I can make a pretty good argument that at the end of the movie, as good off as Chuck is, how he's this different person, I think Kelly's probably a mess and that's not getting better.
Well, prior to him coming back, I think she was actually okay.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think
it's all him. He messed everything up.
As encouraging as the end of the movie is for him, I never really thought about her until this viewing, and I thought, oh, and the next couple of years are going to be really hard for her. I mean, she got in this car and was ready to leave. It was him that said, I mean, he was reading her, but he said, you got to go home.
I was so disappointed in Helen Hunt at that moment that she got in the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have a kid back in the house.
But I mean, the way I observe that is he is seeing in her face that she can't do it, that she wasn't going to be able to do it. But she's torn. I think that speaks to like how confused she is because she loved him. She says he was the love of her life.
She deserved better. And at the end of the movie, he deserved better.
By the way, this is a good time for me to point out I don't believe in soulmates. And that scene is why. It's a great reason, is illustration of that. Okay. Cody, who's the winner of the movie?
It's Tom Hanks.
Yeah, but you said this is like his last good movie, according to you.
No, it's not his last good movie. This movie starts the run of
the downward trend.
That I don't think his movies are good entertainment to rewatch.
Oh, okay. That's specific. I got you.
Yes. That they're Oscar bait from here on out primarily.
Oh, okay. When is Saving Private Ryan? Because that was pretty good.
Saving Private Ryan, I think, is in the 99.
Okay, so it's before this one.
But it's not even in his top 10. 98.
Okay. I was thinking it was after this for some reason. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's interesting.
So Polar Express is after this. Saving Private Ryan's 98. The Terminal's the same year as Polar Express.
Is Terminal his last big movie?
Solely?
Like, I mean...
Da Vinci Code?
In that it did money. Oh, yeah, Da Vinci Code.
I blocked those out for different reasons.
Well, those are weird because that's like him doing IP.
Yeah.
Right?
Toy Stories, of course, but...
Yeah. Okay. It's a good pick. I mean, it makes sense. Tom Hanks, I mean, he ain't losing. He's not Chet.
No. And Chet's winning in my book.
Chet is winning all the time. Winner of the movie for me is FedEx.
So this has the same effect as the USAA commercials do on me. That I don't know how you could root for them.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird.
Because, like, clearly he's being pushed to be this super business all the time guy.
Yeah, they turn him into a monster. And then their plane goes down. That doesn't instill confidence.
Yet FedEx gets a ton of free publicity out of it.
Yeah. They were happy to be involved in the movie. I found in my research, they provided access to their facilities in Memphis, Los Angeles, and Moscow, planes, uniforms. The company's real CEO even cameos at the end to welcome Chuck back. FedEx actually didn't have to pay for product placement. They just did an even up swap to be able to use their company. And maybe the payment was we get to depict one of your planes crashing because that wouldn't instill confidence. But here's the crazy part. You ready for this? Because most people wouldn't watch a plane crash and then think, "Whew, I want to work for them." But yet FedEx applications sent into FedEx rose by 30% in the wake of the release of this movie. And my uncle, at least I think so, to this day is a pilot for FedEx.
That's bananas.
Yeah. I mean, all I could think about when he got the job for FedEx was like, well, I'm not riding in that plane.
Yep.
Can't do it, man. I've seen this movie too much. I wouldn't be comfortable.
For real.
Who's the loser of the movie?
This is probably the most heartbreaking loser that I've ever had to do. It's Helen Hunt. And it's big time. Like, post this. Let's scroll back down. So this comes out in 2000. What Women Want is literally the only big movie that she has after that. Soul Surfer, if you want to argue it. But
that wasn't big.
So, yeah, no. Her career's essentially Dunskies after this. And she goes out on a heel note, as Roger and I will say. Like... No, your character at the end so bad.
She's very interesting in her career because she's not real outspoken either. So you're just kind of left to wonder, because I just kind of assumed she took a step away too, that she just decided, no, I'm not going to work
a ton of stuff.
She's in a ton of stuff.
At least one or two projects each year since then.
Okay, well then now I'm mad because what, you can't be in Twisters? We can't reprise our role in Twisters?
Well, not every year, but there's at least 30 projects after.
I'm going to echo yours. I was going to say someone else, but now I'm going to say the loser of the movie is Helen Hunt. Or us. Because we just need more Helen Hunt.
We do need more Helen Hunt.
She was America's sweetheart.
Evidently, Mad About You might have gotten another weird season.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I missed that. But
she should have made an appearance as Paul Reiser's wife in Stranger Things.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, little Mad About You mini reunion.
And I would not have been mad about it.
Touche. All right, how many volleyballs out of 10 do you give this movie upon rewatch?
So, first, 3 or 4 times watching it, it might have been a 9.5.
Yeah, this is so interesting. I'm so fascinated by what I'm about to hear.
It goes down to a 7.25.
Oh, that's not too bad.
It's because where it was originally and how it has aged for me, especially now that, for my whole adulthood, actors are doing what Tom Hanks did in this. Script writers are getting called out for when things aren't realistic enough, when it's supposed to be a survivalist show or movie.
I still have qualms with that. I don't think I agree with you on that. I think when you compare it to Gravity or The Martian or stuff like that,
I think had such huge beef with Gravity.
Well, you should, because it was ridiculous.
And
Science does not back that up.
Let George Clooney finish a stinking story.
The littlest things bug you.
He was telling hilarious stories, Dave, and they always got interrupted.
I hated Gravity on initial watch.
Me too.
Hated it. Just hated it. Martian was okay. But this movie, I loved it. But I wonder if it has something to do with when it comes out. For you, this comes out when you're pretty young.
11.
Yeah. What, is that all, really? Does this come out in 2000?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is pre-2001.
I'm an adult when this movie comes out. And I'm going to say this movie's exquisite for me. I think it's perfection. And for the first time ever, I'm giving a movie a 10 on this podcast.
Ew.
This movie is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Ew. Even the cinematography in parts, I'm like, what are you doing? Point the camera better.
I think it's part of the story, Cody. They're trying to create feelings in you, which they clearly did with you.
Where is Ron Howard when you need a good director?
Opie's busy. All right, what do you guys think? How long's it been since you watched Castaway? Maybe you should rewatch it and then let us know what you think of the movie. Do you agree with Cody? Is this movie overrated? Does it not stand the test of time?
Should we have done Matilda?
Or do you agree with me? Do you think this movie's pretty darn good and Tom Hanks' masterclass in acting? Let us know on the social media posts for this pod. And of course, all the other stuff. Share the pod, help us grow, help grow the community, and then come visit us at Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City when we're there next month. We'll see you next time.
Pop Culture Pastor.